No doubt you have heard of Warhammer 40k, maybe you're even a fan of it like I am. And if that is the case, you have probably also heard of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, Owlcat Games' incredible story-driven RPG set in the grim darkness of the far future. Because of how highly rated this game is, there is a lot of people out there that want to check it out, especially with the upcoming release of patch 1.5, but it's often the case that people find themselves very intimidated by the sheer scale of Warhammer 40k's universe and lore, not to mention the depth of Rogue Trader's story by itself. It's all too much, it's all way too complex, and it sort of stops them from enjoying this awesome game, so that's why I'm making this video today, to help with breaking down everything that you need to know before you play Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, whether you're a complete newcomer to 40k or a longtime fan looking for a quick refresh. My hope is that this video will give you the context that you need to really appreciate the story, the characters, and the world that you're stepping into with this massive game. Before we get started, a big thank you to Owlcat Games for sponsoring this lore-focused video here on Nixium. And so let us begin by simply saying, what is Warhammer 40,000? I suppose the best place to start is at the very beginning, everybody. Warhammer 40k began all the way back in 1987 as a tabletop miniature war game created by Games Workshop. And over the decades, it has evolved into a massive multimedia franchise spanning novels, comics, video games like Rogue Trader, audiobooks, and even TV adaptations recently. The setting takes place in the 41st millennium, over 38,000 years into our future. Humanity has spread across the stars by this point, but what once was a golden age of technology has decayed into a brutal theocratic empire. The galaxy is filled with endless war, ancient hatreds, and the slow, creeping death of human civilization. Now, unlike most science fiction, there are no happy endings or eucatastrophes. Every faction is fighting for survival in a universe that is actively falling apart. And at the center of it all is the Emperor of Mankind, a godlike being who once ruled over a unified humanity. But we'll talk more about him specifically later on in the video. No doubt you have heard of his Space Marines. They are his angels of death, transhuman warriors bred for one purpose: to destroy all who would threaten mankind's supremacy of the stars. And as you can imagine, that implies that humanity is not alone. The galaxy teems with danger. Rogue Trader, this RPG, drops you right into the middle of this actual nightmare of a setting, a galaxy where every breath is a battle for survival and every choice echoes through the void and humanity as a whole. And speaking of humanity, well, that brings us to another question that likely all of you have. What is the Imperium of Man? Now that we've set the stage, let us talk about humanity, specifically the Imperium of Man, which you will be playing within in Rogue Trader. The Imperium spans 1,000,000 worlds, they say. It's one of the largest empires the galaxy has ever seen, and quite possibly the most terrifying. At its heart sits the decaying body of the Emperor, enthroned upon the golden throne of Terra, his lifeless shell worshipped as a god. The Imperium is a totalitarian theocracy, a regime of unrelenting bureaucracy, religious fanaticism, and endless war. Every citizen is taught one truth from birth: the Emperor protects. And to question that truth is heresy. Its countless organizations form a massive, complex labyrinth of power. You have the Administratum, which is a bureaucratic nightmare that governs through endless paperwork, the Ecclesiarchy, which is a church that fuels the fire of faith with propaganda and sermons, upholding the glory of martyrdom, the Astra Militarum, or the Imperial Guard, whose soldiers die in the trillions every year fighting wars that never seem to end. The Adeptus Mechanicus, they are a cult of cybernetic engineers who worship machines as divine relics. The Inquisition, who purge heresy, mutation, and doubt with fire and steel. Of course, too, we have the mighty Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, genetically engineered demigods who are merely tools of this crumbling empire. Everybody, I cannot stress this enough. The Imperium is rotten to its core. It is held together only by fear, ignorance, and unshakable faith, and yet, despite all of that, curiously, humanity and hope endures. And in Rogue Trader, you are a part of this decaying empire of man, this Imperium. But also, in a manner of speaking, you are above it. You operate on its fringes with freedoms that most can only dream of. Which, of course, brings us to the next question, probably one of the biggest questions that you all have been thinking. What is a rogue trader? Simply put, rogue traders are the Emperor's chosen outcasts, the bold few given the freedom to act where others cannot. These individuals, they have been granted a warrant of trade, which is a sacred document signed by the Emperor himself thousands of years ago, granting its holder near limitless authority beyond the Imperium's borders. A rogue trader can explore uncharted worlds, they can establish colonies, wage wars, and even negotiate with alien races, acts that would see ordinary Imperial citizens executed for heresy. But don't make the mistake of thinking that a rogue trader is just a ship captain. They are the head of a noble dynasty, a sort of feudal lord who commands an entire void ship crewed by thousands of soldiers and servitors and loyal retainers. The setting of this game is the Coronis Expanse, a vast, lawless frontier filled with lost colonies, ancient ruins, and the remnants of forgotten empires. And here, you, the rogue trader, your power is nearly absolute. You can build your dynasty's fortune, forge alliances, or even betray them to your heart's desire. You can serve the Imperium's glory, trying to repair and restore some of that decay that we talked about earlier in the video. Or you can just play this game serving your own ambitions. What will you choose? But I warn you, make no mistake, freedom in the Imperium comes with danger. Rival dynasties plot your downfall. Warp storms can swallow your ship whole, and the Inquisition's gaze can fall on you at any time. One wrong choice, and your dynasty could be reduced to ash, your remains scattered to the void, having failed your God Emperor. And speaking of which, that leads us to the next section of the video, a section that many of you were probably looking forward to. Let's talk about the light of the Emperor and the warp. At the heart of Warhammer 40k lies a sort of duality. You have the divine light of the Emperor, and you have the nightmare of the warp. The Emperor of mankind, he once walked among his people, and he led a great crusade to unite all of humanity across the stars. But that golden age, it ended in betrayal, a civil war known as the Horus Heresy. The Emperor's most beloved son turned against him, plunging the galaxy into ruinous civil war. And in the final battle, the Emperor was forced to strike his son down, but he was mortally wounded in the process. And now, the Emperor sits entombed upon the Golden Throne, neither truly alive nor fully dead, his decaying body sustained by the daily sacrifice of 1,000 psychers. His mind, however, does endure, and through it shines the Astronomicon, a psychic beacon that guides ships safely through the warp. Now the warp, it's not just empty space between worlds and stars. It is a dimension of pure chaos, a sea of psychic energy where emotion becomes reality. It's home to demons and strange gods and horrors beyond comprehension. Now, faster than light travel, it requires plunging directly into this abyss, guided only by holy navigators, which you will of course be encountering in Rogue Trader. These are humans, or well, mutants, blessed with a third eye of sorts that can perceive the Astronomicon's glow and navigate ships through the dreaded void. But understand that every journey through the warp, it's a gamble. Crews vanish all the time. Ships will reappear centuries later, drifting in space. And sometimes those that enter the void, they come back wrong. In Rogue Trader, this ever-present tension defines your travels. Every jump between the stars carries the risk of corruption, madness, or damnation. And while the Emperor's light shields you, it's not always absolute. Forgive my heresy. It's just that sometimes the warp, it whispers, and its temptations are very sweet. So now, let's talk about the enemies of the Rogue Trader. The cool thing about this RPG is that the enemies that you'll be encountering, they're not just the ones that you'll be fighting in battle tactically, but also they are the shadows that slither into your very soul, testing your vows and your virtues. Now, don't get me wrong, you will be clashing with void-possessed worshippers of chaos, demons from the warp, even one of my favorite Xenos species, Necrons. And of course, there are organizations that refuse to recognize your authority as a rogue trader. The true predator, however, that hunts you in the narrative's undercurrent, it is the Void itself, though. I said it before, but the Void is one that constantly tempts you away from the righteous path. And of course, you're free to choose it if you so desire. Twist your loyal men into heretics by all means, but just understand, rival rogue traders, they're going to be scheming against you, perhaps even offering you poisoned alliances. These foes that you'll be encountering, both outside your ship and even within, they all forge the story's spine and tension. Survive all of this and transform yourself into a legend of your own amongst the stars. But with the threats understood and laid out a little bit more plainly without any spoilers, let us wrap this up with the final section of this video, discussing what all there is to expect in your adventures as the Rogue Trader, in terms of gameplay and such. Your adventure in Rogue Trader. So with this video, I haven't been trying to spoil too much, guys. I want you all to experience this role-playing game for yourself, but now we understand the setting a little bit better. So let's talk about what happens as soon as the game begins. You will start this game as the unexpected heir to House von Valencius. Suddenly, you are thrust into a web of deceit, betrayal, and duty. And aboard your colossal void ship, you will command thousands, soldiers, priests, psychers, and servants, all sworn to your dynasty. And just when you think things are coming under control, chaos erupts. Sabotage and treachery will tear through your ranks, and you are cast into that Coronis expanse, that untamed region of space filled with the ancient ruins and ghost worlds and opportunities that I mentioned earlier in the video. And as you explore it, you'll be recruiting a diverse cast of companions. A hardened soldier, a devout sister of battle, a mysterious navigator of your own, a member of the Inquisition, perhaps even a space marine. There are other companions too to discover, each with their own story, beliefs, and secrets. Make no mistake, my friends, their loyalty to you is going to be tested as you make choices in this game, and so will yours to them. One of the best things about this game, everybody, is that your adventure in this universe will unfold however you want it to. You can become this benevolent leader, guiding humanity's lost colonies back into the Emperor's light, or you can be a ruthless tyrant, cutting deals with Xenos and demons for greater power for yourself. In this game, every choice that you make matters, and every act shapes the story of what is to come. The game is immensely replayable. I cannot stress that enough. It's one of the reasons why this game is so highly rated. It's just the depth of its story. And of course, if it wasn't obvious, Rogue Trader, it's a turn-based RPG filled with tactical combat, rich customization, and branching narrative paths. It is a game that rewards curiosity, and it will punish arrogance. And the best part, Owlcat is continuing to support and expand on this game. 2 major expansions have already been released, and I said it at the beginning of this video, but the upcoming patch 1.5 is one of the best yet. It is rebalancing classes like the Ministorum Priest, adding new convictions for familiars, enhancing rare weapons, and improving the overall polish and quality of life in the game. Rogue Trader, it's not a game that was just released and abandoned by the developers. It is a living, evolving role-playing game with a huge community behind it, and there has never been a better time to jump in and play it. These are my final thoughts, everybody. If you have ever wanted to step into the Warhammer 40k universe, to command a ship, to wield power, and carve your own destiny amongst the stars, Rogue Trader is your chance. It's not just another role-playing game. It is a fully realized journey through one of the most detailed fictional settings ever created. It is a story of faith, corruption, ambition, and the thin line between salvation and damnation. It's become one of my personal favorite role-playing games in recent years, and I have no doubt it will become one of yours as well. And if you would like to see my full gameplay review and breakdown of this game in further detail, covering combat mechanics and the systems in more detail, click the video on your screen right now. Everybody, thank you so very much for watching. I will see you soon. And remember, when it comes to the Emperor, he always protects.